Former President Donald Trump is laying out his vision for the economy in a speech in North Carolina. He criticized Vice President Harris's approach to rising prices.
Kamala has declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority. Just think of it, for her, but day one for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Why hasn't she done it?
Caitlin Huey-Burns joins us now from Asheville, North Carolina, where Trump has wrapped up. Caitlin, good to see you. What is he talking about in terms of trying to lower costs for Americans?
Ed, it's good to see you. He just wrapped up that speech, as you mentioned. And what was notable about it is he is talking about the economy in a nostalgic way, trying to get voters to remember how the economy was, how they felt the economy was under his presidency. So he named a few items today, as you can see on the signs behind me, perhaps. No federal tax on Social Security, no federal tax on tips for service workers. He also talked about slashing energy costs, but this was light on specifics and more about kind of the general feelings about the economy. And Ed, it's important to note that while polls show this race really tightening, we've seen a significant change in this race since Kamala Harris took over the top of the ticket on the Democratic side. One thing has remained the same, and that is Trump's perceived advantage on the economy. Voters continue to tell us in our own polling that they believe they'll be better off financially if Trump wins this race. So this was an effort to really capitalize on that advantage, as he's been experiencing other weak spots over the past several weeks. We'll see if that resonates with voters, and especially since Kamala Harris is expected to come here to North Carolina on Friday to make her economic pitch.
And as Caitlin speaks through the 1982 hit Gloria, Caitlin, he talked about the economy. The bunting speaks to the economy, but that entire speech was not about the economy, right? There were still some personal attacks levied.
Oh, yes. He, actually started this speech on a little bit of a rant, lamenting the fact that Joe Biden had gotten out of the race, lamenting the fact that he had spent, his campaign essentially had spent $100 million, in his words, going after Joe Biden, only for him to drop out of the race, and he's no longer the opponent. He also lamented the fact that Kamala Harris is on the cover of Time magazine last week, and you and I both know, covering Trump for these past several years, that is a very important item for him. This is all part of an effort that the campaign wants him to focus on things that they believe this election hinges on: the economy, the border, and Kamala Harris's record. He did that throughout this speech, but he really can't help himself. He went on several different kinds of tangents, often went off teleprompter. And this was, for all purposes, a campaign rally, billed as an economic speech, but really a campaign rally. And it's notable, too, Ed, that we're still indoors. It's 1 month since the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. So this is a kind of smaller venue than he has been accustomed to. But notable that he's campaigning in North Carolina. This is a battleground state, but of all the states he won in 2020, this is the slimmest of margins. So at this stage in the game, campaigning here, while Kamala Harris is also campaigning here, shows that this is an important state.
And not to stoke his fury, but that's a smaller venue, which means a smaller crowd, which will only agitate him even more conceivably in the coming days. We'll see. Caitlin Huey-Burns, the music is over. So is your report, but we're grateful for it, and we'll talk to you soon. Sophia Cai and Fin Gomez are here in the newsroom where we don't play music. Sophia is the national politics reporter at Axios. Fin, of course, is CBS News political director. Good to see both of you. You fans of that song?
I would love some Bad Bunny yet. I think you and I would probably prefer
if
that
they ever
more.
play Bad Bunny at a Donald Trump rally, it's all over.
But maybe on America Decides.
Maybe. Let's start with you, actually. This invitation to debate. We know now that Tim Walz has said he's good with October 1st. That was one of the dates put forward. Yeah. Have we heard anything from J.D. Vance yet?
There are four the dates that CBS News has offered for this vice presidential debate. And you are correct that Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota and VP nominee for the Democratic Party, has agreed to one of those debates, October 1st. We've engaged with both campaigns, and they both are aware of those dates. And the other details in our statement, which include the location, which is, again, New York City.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We eagerly await a response from Vance and from the Republicans. Sophia, back to this speech that the former president was giving today. You've described this as or you're reporting that it's kind of a break glass moment for the former president. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, look, former President Trump is in a pretty bad position, right? Like the things that keep him happy, good poll numbers, crowd sizes, he doesn't have any of that right now. And he's also running against someone who's in the center of pop culture, someone who has that kind of attention-grabbing persona, and that makes him very uncomfortable. And this week, finally, he's decided he has to do a lot of things different. After saying at Mar-a-Lago that he would not rally until after the DNC, he's announced several rallies, including today in North Carolina, later in Pennsylvania. His PAC is spending $100 million. He brought on a senior advisor, Taylor Budowich, from the PAC. I mean, these are things that are very different. He's having a 2-hour chat with Elon Musk, right? That is what I mean by a break the glass moment for former President Trump.
Yeah. It is telling that he no longer has the riz, as the kids might say, and it's definitely on Harris's side at this point. And the fact that, you're right, the 2-hour chat, the economic policy speech, the rally on Saturday, Vance is still out there. They're clearly trying something different now because they're seeing what we're seeing. And our friends at the Cook Political Report this morning released a bunch of new surveys also now suggesting that they're basically tied, effectively tied, or Harris has a slight edge in most of the battleground states. This has to be concerning for them down in Florida.
Well, you've seen this shift that's happened in the last couple of weeks, Ed. I mean, and this, I think, is one of the most telling ones of the battleground state map that we were seeing of those 7 battleground states, Nevada being the only one where Trump still leads. I think it's a +5 there in Nevada. Yeah, I think speaking to folks close to the Trump campaign, they have told me there's some concern with the trajectory, especially in those states. However, and also with the messaging of the campaign overall, they do feel that, as CHB reported, the more Trump focuses on the issues, the more he focuses on immigration, the more he focuses on the economy, inflation, and sort of framing Vice President Harris as representative of the Biden administration and really tying that in instead of sort of more the personal attacks. They want more. The people I've been talking to, the sources I've been talking to, they want more of that. They think that's the winning formula, and this current path is not one that they believe will be successful.
Did you get a sense that he was really hoping to run against Biden because it meant he could campaign at a lower gear?
Absolutely.
And now he's got to ramp it up again in a way that he just didn't expect to?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, look, they were hoping that the debate would damage Biden just enough that it would be really bad for the Democratic nominee, but not bad enough that it would kick him out.
Right.
And I think the speed at which the Biden-Harris switch happened really took the Trump team by surprise. And that's something that for weeks they've had to respond to.
I mean, I would just note that I think it's because it's been such a different strategy now that they have had to pivot, and I think they haven't acclimated in that pivot strategically or in any other form, frankly, in that sense. But I do think that you are seeing the Trump campaign ramp up. You see, frankly, a little more disciplined Trump. You did see that today in North Carolina, and he's adding a lot more events to his upcoming schedule, where he's going to be barnstorming more of those across the battleground states. I don't know if that changes. I don't know if that, to your question, Ed, I don't know if that dynamic has really shifted that much. It's just the fact that it's a pivot to a totally different new candidate, right?
And a new map as well.
And a new map, the Sun Belt,
He has to go to places like North Carolina and Arizona, Nevada, and yet there's concerns, as expressed by Nikki Haley in this clip, about how exactly he should be spending his time. Take a look.
We need him to win, but you got to go out and do the work. And the one thing Republicans have to stop doing, quit whining about her. We knew it was going to be her.
She's saying, keep focused on the policy.
Yep.
Stop focusing on Harris's crowd size. Stop focusing on personal attacks on her. Not unlike Kevin McCarthy making the same point. Others.
Right.
But others who are rooting for Trump.
And so
quit complaining about it.
Quit complaining about Time Magazine.
Crowd size or race or if she's, or
so he did both today, it sounds like. He leveled his gripes on her at the beginning, and then he got into the economic stuff. He's kind of sort of listening, but he's not quite there yet.
I mean, he'll always do everything all at once. I think he's not necessarily saying, oh, today let me see what Nikki Haley thinks I should be doing. He's always been the person to determine his own messaging. I think from the very outset, his most senior campaign advisors have always been resigned to the fact that Trump will be his own political messenger.
Yeah.
And today, what we heard from Nikki Haley was, look, Harris is someone who is talking about the future, talking about freedom, and that's what Trump should be doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Sophia Cai, Fin Gomez, thank you both for being here and for sharing your reporting. We appreciate it.